Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like the material. Two Jehovah Witness elders, Michael Penkava and Colin Scott in Chicago, Illinois, face a criminal judge in a Class A misdemeanor charges for failure to report child abuse in 2006. Instead of mandatory reporting, they enabled the abuse of a 7-year-old girl for 13 years. The Jehovah's Witness elders have waived their right to a jury trial, which means the case will be adjudicated as a bench trial by judge.
News from Illinois, United States of America on northwestherald.com, and it's the city of Crystal Lake, and a Jehovah's Witness has been found guilty of sex abuse. More than 13 years of sex abuse against a family relative. But the church leaders there were aware of it, and what I'll do, I'll leave a link for the story. I'll copy and paste the text into my comment section, but the part that I wanted to highlight was further down here, that the Kingdom Hall elder Michael Penkava tried to invoke his right as a religious leader to not testify against this Hernandez Pedraza, the guy that was found guilty. Ultimately, he was required to answer questions about actions the congregation took after learning about the sexual abuse. But it seems if I go down here, the leaders at the hall knew about the accusations in July 2006, but they weren't reported until 2018. So anyway, the guy, this Hernandez Pedraza, is going to be sentenced later this year in December.
Crystal Lake man gets 50 years in prison for sex crimes against young relative over 13 years. Early church intervention failed to stop acts, victim says. A Crystal Lake man was sentenced Thursday to 50 years in prison for what prosecutors and a judge described as heinous sexual crimes committed against a young relative over a span of nearly 13 years. Arturo Hernandez Pedraza, 42, was found guilty by a McHenry County jury in October of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, criminal sexual assault, sexual relations within families and domestic battery. According to sentencing guidelines, he must serve about 40 years in prison. When released, he must register as a sex offender and could face a lifetime of mandatory supervised release or civil commitment, said McHenry County Judge Michael Penkava. Prosecutors said Hernandez Pedraza sexually abused and assaulted the now adult woman when she was between the ages of 6 to about 19. The girl first reported the abuse when she was 6 to her mother, but police were not contacted. Rather, she testified at trial. Members of the family's church intervened. But the assaults started up again and escalated, she said. Assistant State's Attorney Cheryl Eisenstein also said Hernandez Pedraza made threats that if the girl ever reported the assaults he would kill her, her mother and her brother. The girl reported the abuse again in 2018, and the police were contacted. She reported the sexual assaults had been going on since 2005. Before handing down the sentence, Coppage said the woman's trial testimony was chilling and it was heart-wrenching. Any child should be allowed the innocence of youth, Coppage said. Hernandez Pedraza's actions, Coppage said, were pervasive and ongoing and caused serious harm, a heinous pattern of conduct. No child should have to undergo the types of harms perpetrated on this victim. Through a Spanish-speaking interpreter, Hernandez Pedraza maintained his innocence and said he will appeal.
So when it comes to these cases, we like to present the facts. So we see that this information is coming from the McHenry County official website. In this case is the People versus Colin Scott. And you can see the criminal misdemeanor Crystal Lake complaint. And this was filed on November the 18th, 2020. Also again, we see Michael Penkava, criminal misdemeanor Crystal Lake complaint. His case was filed on 11/18/2020. So now let's have a look at the official court documents for McHenry County, Illinois. The plaintiff, people of the state, versus the defendants, Colin Scott and Michael Penkava. This is a motion in limine as follows. Now come the defendants, Colin Scott and Michael Penkava, by and through their attorneys, which are listed here, and respectfully request this honorable court to bar the prosecution from introducing, during the trial of this case, any evidence of sexual abuse which occurred to the victim subsequent to July 27, 2006. In support of their motion, the defendants state as follows. Number 1. The defendants are charged with the offense of Abused and Neglected Child Reporting Act in violation of 325 ILCS. Number 2. The offense is alleged to have taken place on July 27, 2006. Number 3. It is alleged in the instant complaint that the defendants, while in their professional capacity as a member of the clergy, became aware of the existence of reasonable cause to believe that the victim was sexually abused by a parent. Terrible. Number 4. It is further alleged that the defendants knowingly failed to report this information to law enforcement. Number 5. On information and belief, victim was subjected to various forms of sexual abuse committed by her father subsequent to July 27, 2006. The most serious of these acts of sexual abuse are believed to have taken place starting in approximately 2013 and continuing to 2018. Number 6. Any sexual abuse with victim was subjected to subsequent to July 27, 2006 is irrelevant to whether the defendants knowing failed to report sex abuse by a parent which they became aware of in July 27, 2006. Wherefore, the defendants pray that this honorable court issue an order limiting the evidence concerning sexual abuse which victim was subjected to acts which occurred on or before July 27, 2006. Respectfully submitted.
As an example, think about the apostate-driven lies and dishonesties that Jehovah's organization is permissive toward pedophiles. I mean, that is ridiculous, isn't it? If anybody takes action against someone who would threaten our young ones and takes action to protect our young ones, it's Jehovah's organization. We reject outright such lies.
Someone needs to tell Brother Latt that there are 2 elders currently on trial for covering up child abuse within a congregation involving a 7-year-old child.
And in one of the dozen lawsuits I've been following, Watchtower Supervisor Richard Ash was asked if the organization has a responsibility to protect children from abuse.
But within the congregation, ours is a spiritual protection. When we're talking about physical protection, that's up to the secular authorities to provide. And so
he was asked about the Watchtower's Bible-based directives to keep child abuse cases confidential.
It states in paragraph 3, there is a time to keep quiet when your words should prove to be few. Do you see that?
Yes,
You know,
I
Mr. Joe,
object to that. It's a violation of the First Amendment, freedom of religion, freedom of association.
So as you can see, these 2 elders on trial is a very active case. In fact, on March the 2nd, you can see there was a motion denied. On March 2nd, there was a decision allowed. You look it up online, you can see that this decision, statements of abuse allowed at Jehovah's Witness pre-trial. So this case is very active, but when you go to the Jehovah's Witness website and you look in their newsroom under legal developments, there's no mention of any of these child abuse cases. Thank you for tuning in to the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned as we will continue to follow this case.